That's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. When it's Android over iPhone, and you can keep your stupid amiibo and always bashing on Nintendo. But that's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. Thanks, Retro Fandango. Wow!
Hello, and welcome to Retro Fandango, episode number 219. I'm here, Richard's here. Just saw an image of J-Rock in our intro.
I was going to make the same comment.
Our Kimmy Gimbler. And yeah, I actually heard from him recently, so that's a monumental
what
thing.
do you have to say?
Oh, he bought a Proton Pack.
That's what I was going to say too.
It was kind of, neat because he messaged me and he's like, I got this Proton Pack, and he showed it to me, and then we were talking back and forth, and then he went ahead and posted to everybody that he bought the Proton Pack. I'm like, hey, no, that was my exclusive interview. You're not supposed to share that. No one else needs to know that. Only I need to know that.
That is a neat looking prop, though.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Doesn't it make you want to
either.
get one to hang it on your wall or something?
No,
I imagine. I didn't click on the little video, so I didn't hear any sound. I'm assuming it makes all the Ghostbuster sounds.
Yeah, I think so. I didn't click on the video either. I just looked. Well, no, I'm sorry. I did click on the video just when he sent me the message. I was doing something, so I couldn't listen to it. So I didn't listen to it. So I watched it, and then I saw all the images that he had of it. But it's not cheap. It's like $250 American dollars, I think. Which, as far as those kind of things go, that's not too bad. But still, I'm still between jobs, so I really can't afford something.
Come on,
like
get a job, you bum.
I know.
Was that Spirit Halloween? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. What is that?
That's that Halloween store that pops up every year. They take abandoned locations and they pop up.
Oh, I've seen stores like that, but it's usually just junk in there, like decorations and costumes for kids. And
yeah, they do sell some expensive things. I think that's what it is. I got it right here, and it's in a big box. It says it's sold out.
There you go. I couldn't get one even if I wanted to. They're sold out. But honestly, that's fine. What am I gonna do with that? Like, I don't cosplay.
Well, you're gonna have to do what the real fans do and build your own.
Yeah. If I really wanted one, I think I would have built one by now. I mean, when I was, a kid, absolutely, I would have had that and went out every Halloween. I mean, I had a backpack stuffed with newspaper and a wooden wand thing that my dad had made, and then I took a telephone, like an old telephone cord, and
right,
to the gun, and then I stuck it into the backpack, and that was my Ghostbusters.
Yours was fancier than mine. I have somewhere. Maybe I don't have it. My mom has it, but there's a photo of me as a very young child with my homemade Ghostbusters outfit, where I had these brown pajamas that had some sort of a logo on them, but I just flipped it inside out, so it was just all brown. And then I took a piece of cardboard and I made the Proton Pack.
Oh,
a couple of strings to slip them over my shoulders, and then there was some block toy, not Legos, but something that I used to make the wand with, and it was just like a thin stick with a little end on it there. And I was doing an action pose. It was a really cool photo.
I must have a photo of myself in my Halloween outfit somewhere. At some point, somewhere. It's around, but
it's in a big box somewhere that you have to dig through album after album, all the shoe boxes full of photos.
Yeah. It's not like how the kids have it today. They can just flip through their phone and find a photo that they took 20 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever.
Probably.
Yeah.
or some social media site is going to remind them that they posted that photo.
Yeah.
You posted this 5 years ago.
Yeah. So I got lots of stuff to talk about. I got real life stuff. I haven't watched any movies, but I watched a few TV shows,
Mm-hmm.
and I played a few video games.
Okay, look, I got a little memo here with all my things.
I have a list that part there. That's the list right there.
All right.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about first?
I'm good on anything because I've got school stories, I've got video games, I've got movies, I got sinuses, I got everything.
Sinuses. Ah, well,
Hmm.
let's start. Why not start off with the old man talk? Let's start off with sinuses. Sinuses
Well,
are always fun.
yeah, every year when the seasons change, I
Mhm.
always get affected. The hay fever, as people call it. Um, Anytime we go from cold weather to warm weather to cold weather, I need about a week to adjust. Now, this particular season has been rough, partially because I'm getting older, and partially because there was a whole lot of sand coming over from China. That
Right.
stuff just blows across the ocean.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad. I was feeling very congested to the point that I just couldn't breathe through my nose. It wasn't like down here. It was way up here,
Hmm.
right where the tubes are really tight.
Yeah.
And I've got a prominent nose, so I should have a pretty decent air passage. But I was feeling very congested to the point that I was blowing my nose like every 5 minutes.
Hmm.
And during the day it wouldn't be so bad, but early morning and late night it would just get worse and worse and worse. So for a couple of nights I couldn't sleep. I was just constantly rolling over, uh, getting up, blowing my nose, laying back down, getting congested again. It was miserable. So after complaining about it for several days, my wife had the brilliant idea of maybe you should go to the doctor. It's
Hmm.
like, all right, you win, I'll do it. I hate going to the doctor for
Me too.
anything, even minor stuff, so I drag my feet on that. So I went to the doctor and he like stuck a thing up my nose and he's like, "Yeah, your nose is completely irritated. It's like something with all the mumbo jumbo flying around in the air, all the pollens and stuff. Essentially, the inside of my nose was swollen, so it was, constricting the amount of airflow that would go through, plus
Wow.
the congestion in there. So he gave me some drugs, gave me some pills, gave me a little nose spray. He said, "Take this stuff." Went home and I took the stuff, and then I was fine.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go.
Wonderful story.
The wife
But
was
it
right.
makes me wonder, was it really the medicine, or was it just the end of the cycle? Was it just that night? I would have been feeling better anyway.
I don't know. I'm
I
not
don't
a
know.
doctor. I
I'm
don't
no
know.
doctor, but I am stubborn.
It sounded like as if the medicine helped you. To me, that's what it sounds like. That'd be quite the
Maybe.
coincidence, you know.
Yeah, but he did give me 2 weeks worth of medication, and
Yeah.
after the first night, I was done. I
Yeah.
took the medicine for like 3 or 4 days, and
Hmm.
and like I just stopped.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. I don't
I
know.
think I'm right. I think I'm
No,
right.
I think the medicine helped you
I think I'm right. Possible.
because I have pretty bad allergies to the point where like I've gone down like it's knocked me out for a couple of weeks kind of thing. Like I think I've told the story where I was right when we were moving. It was the fall time, and we went over to my mother-in-law's house, which is sitting empty right now. And but there's like still stuff that needs to be done there, including like raking the yard. So
Hmm.
I went there and I raked the yard, and I I got sick after, and apparently I
Hmm.
kicked up some molds that got into my system, and it gave me a severe um, congestion. So
Right.
I just had a really bad allergic reaction to it. Sore throat and stuffed up sinuses and the whole bit. Hey, look at that,
Mm.
Duke's here. Another
Hey,
old
Duke.
another old man who can relate to these old
Perfect
man
timing
stories.
for old man talk.
So uh, when Sarah went to she went to get me some medicine at the pharmacy, and the pharmacist told her, if your husband is that bad, he could take like two. Like I usually take a reactant, right, which is like an antihistamine, and he's like,
Mm.
he can. On the package, it only recommends one, right? It says only take one, but he's like, if you're that bad, you can take two. So this spring, anytime I start feeling the old adenoids that are starting to swell up, like they get like that little burning sensation, I go in there and I take the two reactin, and it goes away. And yesterday was it was a really nice day. It was plus 17, and then it was overcast, so it wasn't too hot, and it's going to rain all this weekend. So that is the perfect scenario to get out there and do some yard work. And over the late winter, early spring, we had a thaw that all this like the ground basically warmed up, and snow started to melt, and then it got cold again, and we got dumped on like with tons of more snow. But that scenario where the ground thawed and then we got more snow, it was the perfect scenario for these little rodents called voles, not
Okay.
moles, voles, to
Mm-hmm.
get under the snow in your yard and start eating away at the grass and digging all sorts of little tunnels in your
Mm-hmm.
yard, because the ground is thawed, but they have this protection over top of them from any sort of predators, right? All this snow
Mm-hmm.
on top of them. So when the snow finally melted a couple of weeks ago, my entire front yard was just full of these little tunnels, like, and not like underground, like along the top, and they would just like dump the dirt right beside it. So I went online to look up what to do, how to get rid of these voles, and they're like, basically there's really nothing you can do. All you can do is, after they're done, go and rake up all the dirt, like rake it back into your lawn, and throw down a lot of grass seed. So
I'm
that's
not sure if it would work with voles, but I know it works with gophers. If you get a carrot and you hollow out the center and you stick a thing of dynamite in there, that might work.
yeah. Maybe I should try that. Maybe
Hmm.
I'll get my golf club bag with a radio in it, and I'll put it
Mm-hmm.
out there. I'll turn the tunes up, and I'll put a stick of dynamite
There you go.
in a carrot. Yeah. No, apparently there's nothing you can do. There are people that have tried things and they say it works, but it's about 50-50, and a lot of the other people are like, it's just a coincidence. Like, there's really nothing you can do. It's just hope that scenario doesn't happen again, where the ground thaws like that, because anyways, it turned out to not be, it looked more dramatic than what it was. That's what I did yesterday, is I went out and I raked, but it turned out to be a good thing anyways, because there turned out to be a lot of thatch in the grass, a lot of dead grass. So last
Mm-hmm.
year at the old house, I bought a dethatcher to fix up the
A
lawn there.
dethatcher.
Yeah, it's like an
How does that
electric
work?
thing. It's basically like an electric rake that you just drag on your lawn, and it does all the raking for you. It just digs up all the thatch, like digs it
Mm-hmm.
up from under the ground. Because that's really the tough part, is like getting that thick thatch up from off the ground. And
Mm-hmm.
so it just does all that, digs it all up, and then you just go over with like a big like leaf rake or whatever, and just dig up all that. So I did that yesterday, and I took two reactants, and I wore a mask
Yeah.
because it was kicking up a whole bunch of dust and everything. So I learned my lesson. So there you go. And I feel great
Y-
today. No allergies.
Yeah. The same. When my sinuses kicked in, it was right after I had started cutting the grass and everything again. So
Yeah.
there's all that stuff that's just out there to get you.
Yeah. Duke says he has the same problem with his backyard. I have tunnels everywhere, and then my dogs dig at them. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, I get moles in my yard, not voles, moles. So I don't get the tunnels,
Yeah.
but I do get the little like
Where they come up.
puff out of dirt, and
Yeah.
then there's just a little mound of dirt. And some
Yeah.
days we'll look out the window and there's 3, 4, 5 little mounds there.
Yeah.
So I get nervous, like how many little tunnels are they digging under there?
Yeah.
Because we live
Get a
up
cave
on a
in.
small hill. I don't want the whole place to go down.
Yeah. Yeah. Voles are different. Yeah, they'll dig underneath the ground, where these voles will just dig along the top and make little trenches. It looked like almost like trench warfare from World War I or something. But
I was gonna say, when you say the tunnels are by the surface, it sounds like when Bugs Bunny is doing his.
and that's what I thought too. I thought, because we do have a hare in the backyard, and I thought, well, maybe it's the rabbit doing that. But then, I looked up like what kind of animal makes this kind of damage, and basically that's what came up in the Google search. And we have a creek that's right beside us, so it's very possible that they came out of there for a snack. So then
it's a good name for that kind of pest, though, because I can
a
imagine
vole.
you like pulling open the curtain and seeing that and going, voles.
Yeah, it's
Or
a
if
good.
you just said like, oh, rabbits.
It's
Not
a
the same.
good. It's a good name, unless your father-in-law is hard of hearing and you're trying to tell him that story. What did you have? Voles, moles? No, voles. Let me spell it. P. No, V as in viper. What? Wiper? W? What kind of animal is this? Oh God. So then we had a lot of snow over the winter, and everything melted really fast. And then we were put under a flood watch because that little creek that's beside my house expanded about 4 or 5 times its original size.
Oh, okay.
It swelled up like really high, and we were I wasn't as worried, but Sarah was worried that we were going to get flooded. And we had a whole discussion when we bought the house on whether or not we were going to get flood insurance, because it's really, because of the creek beside us, it's really expensive. Like they were looking at like $10,000 a year to cover $40,000 worth of damage. I'm like, that doesn't seem worth it to me. And then in the spring, when stuff started flooding, I'm like, maybe we should have, but nah, I still didn't. But our house, we have a sump pump in the basement, and it never. I tested it out to make sure it worked, and it worked, but no water came in. We never got any water in the house. But you're keeping an eye on it every day. You're like, how much is it rising? Is it lowering at all? So one morning I went out there, right beside my house, right at the lawn, and I'm looking down at this creek, and there's some wildlife out there and whatnot. What the heck was I looking at? I can't remember. Anyways, Sarah says to me, there's a beaver out there. I saw a beaver. I'm like, there's no way. So I walked out, and I go right beside my house. There's a beaver there. Yeah. I'm like, oh no, this is not good, because the last thing you want when you have a flood watch are beavers, because beavers will build a dam and make the flood even worse. So they did try to build something a little bit upstream from us, which actually helped us out a little bit because it was holding some of the water back, but they didn't get very far. I went out there the first day, and of course I didn't have my camera with me the first day, and that was like the only day that I could get a real clear view of them. Like they were like right beside the house. And then every other day since that, then they would go further downstream in the creek, and they were just munching away on there was a bunch of trees that had fallen. The hydro company had come and cut down a whole bunch of branches and that. So they were just eating the bark off of all these branches. So there's a whole bunch of branches back there that are picked clean, which is pretty neat to see. But eventually, like, the creek subsided enough that they would have had too much of a job to to make a dam there. So they just went off on their merry way. But you could see that in years past, like I was looking at on the property and I could see like how there were trees from in the past that were cut down by beavers. So they have tried to build there in the past. So looks like that's something we're gonna have to watch out for every year. But that was pretty fun.
That's
So I got a bunch of crappy photos on my phone of sort, like you can see beavers through the foliage. They're back there somewhere, you know, kind of thing.
Well, you got to show them to everybody you know, waiting to see if somebody's going to give you that line. Nice beaver.
Oh, jeez.
I don't think I've ever seen one of those animals outside of a zoo.
Well, I can't say I've seen one that close up before. That's for sure. Like right there, like right in front of you.
Just hanging out on your patio.
Yeah, and they were like, you know, they're the animals are a lot braver now than they used to be, right? Like before they would see a human, they would take off, but now they're so accustomed to humans being around in their territory that they're they're a little laissez-faire, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, they got beavers in Maryland, according to Duke.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever talked about these, but you know the Tanuki from Super Mario Brothers 3, the Tanuki suit.
Yeah.
That animal it actually exists, and we have them around here. But the ones that are around us are diseased, and once in a while we'll see them. Just there's my wife's mother has cats, so there's a cat food bowl out on the front stoop. But every once in a while you'll see the Tanuki come around, and their hair's falling out because they get some kind of skin disease, so they look all creepy. And typically when they sense a human, they run away and just like scatter.
Yeah.
But these things, I don't know, because of their disease, they've given up caring about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they'll just sit there and stare at you. They don't come near you. And if you get too close to them, they will move off. But I don't know, it's kind of creepy. It's just some funky looking animal eating cat food and staring at you.
So those are basically raccoons, aren't they?
If you look it up in a dictionary, they call them raccoon dogs, which doesn't make any sense. They just kind of look like weird raccoons, yeah.
They don't fly though, right? They don't just wag their tail and fly.
I've not seen it, but then again, they're mysterious creatures.
Duke says the beavers are protected in Maryland. They're sort of protected here in Canada as well. I would not be permitted to go out and shoot them. I'd have to call the conservation authorities to come and trap them. So they would put them somewhere else, especially at this time of year, because they're you know, doing the baby stuff. You know what I mean?
Good thing that they're protected. Otherwise, I could see Duke going full on. Caddyshack there, pulling out his hunter's rifle, trying to defend his yard.
Yeah. Well, believe me, I had no desire to shoot them. I just wanted them to go away. Just on your merry way. You don't have to go have your baby somewhere else. Don't have them here. Because once they
one
do,
of those like an air horn or something to scare them off.
I was like just being a nuisance to them to encourage them to go away, and they would. Like the first day I went out there, I followed them. Like I was just kind of like, you know, hitting branches and stuff like that. And they went all the way out to the river. The creek flows into the river behind our house. And they went all the way out there and then went down the river. And I'm like, okay, goodbye. But then they came back the next day. So, you know, they were looking for a permanent place to call home. So I was just hoping that me being a nuisance would be enough for them to take off. But behind our house, the guy who lived here before us, he would mow like our property line only goes so far back behind our house. And then in behind, it's all what we call crown land. And there's nothing ever going to be built there. It's too swampy. But this guy would take and he would mow all the way along the creek. Like he kept it all clear back there. So you look back there and you think you got this huge yard, but really it's on crown land. But nobody's going to bother you, right? As long as you're not bothering anyone else, you know. Anyways, I was debating whether or not I should carry on that tradition. Maybe I should just leave it because there's a lot of environmental concerns about lawns and everything now, and people are saying like how you should, you know, lot of people are not having lawns. They're putting like wildflowers down and whatever. And I thought, well, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just put like wildflowers down there. But now with this beaver concern, I can kind of see why he kept it all clear there, because you don't want too many trees growing there, for one thing, and two, it helps you keep an eye on what's going on in that creek. It's easy access to get back there and make sure that they don't start fooling around back there. So, because you don't want your house to flood, it's not a good thing.
No, I can't imagine. All right, that was 25 solid minutes of old man talk.
Yep.
I
got one more old man story. If you, so I, a couple of, it was, I guess about a month ago, at the beginning of this month, I had to drive my my mom to. She had cataract surgery done, and I'm here in Chelmsford, Ontario, and she lives all the way in Deep River, Ontario, which is about a 3-hour drive away. She lives close to my sister, but you know, I got to be the good son once in a while and pitch in, you know, help out and pitch in something. I got to do something. Anyways, I got to help out once in a while. So she asked me to drive her to this cataract surgery because she wasn't sure if she'd have to go back for follow-up appointments and all that business. So I said, okay, sure, no problem. Of course, when I drive out there, it's a huge freaking ice storm happening. I got out there okay, and then her surgery was on a Tuesday. Yeah, it was on a Tuesday, and so where her apartment is in Deep River, she has to actually drive to Pembroke, which is another 40 minutes away from Deep River. So picked her up that morning, got the car, and we drive to Pembroke. And my mom is she constantly has like her inner monologue is always externalized. She just constantly talks, like whatever's in her head, it just comes out. And sometimes like I really don't know if she's crazy or not. Sometimes the stuff that comes out of her mouth, it's just the weirdest thing. Like when we were driving up to the hospital, got a red light, so I'm sitting at the intersection and I'm waiting for the light to turn green, and she's sitting there and she's looking around. She's like, "Where's the ambulance?" I'm like, "What ambulance? Do you hear a siren?" She's like, "No, we're at an intersection by the hospital, so I'm just wondering where the ambulance is." I'm like, "What ambulance?" She's like, "Well, we're at an intersection by a hospital. There's a good chance that there could be an ambulance come." I'm like, you're looking for something that isn't there. Like this is just crazy.
Yeah, but it makes sense. It makes sense to me.
It does, but would you be actively, like, you're at an intersection by a hospital and you're actively looking to see where the ambulance is coming?
She's got a point.
Would you be like verbally saying like, hey, watch out for the ambulance. We're at an intersection by a hospital.
I live pretty close to a hospital, and I pass by there on my way to work fairly regularly. You encounter ambulances, and they got to pull in, and you know, as somebody on the road, you have to be aware of that so you can give them space.
That's what I do when I hear the sirens. Right. I'm like, where's the ambulance? I hear a siren. Where is it? Let me get ready to do my due diligence and get out of the way if I am indeed in the way of the ambulance. But I never think about it.
She's thinking ahead.
She's because
anticipating we might need to move.
I don't know. I think that is questionable behavior. I think that is quite kooky. So after that, after she had her cataract surgery, and she really wanted to go to this restaurant in Deep River, and they had some special on Tuesday nights, some chicken dish or whatever. And that's she's like, I want to get that chicken dish. Thank you. Duke says it's kooky. Thank you.
Come on. Like if Duke were out in the woods hunting a deer, he'd set up, he'd be in his little thing in the tree and everything. He'd have his Civil War musket all primed and ready to go. And he'd be like to himself, all right, where's the deer? And he's looking around and, you know.
Okay. Anyways, so we're driving back after she's had her surgery. It went well. We had to go back. I had to actually drive her back that day for a follow-up appointment. So yeah, drive her back. She's going on about this chicken dish all day, how she wants it. So get her back home, drive her 40 minutes back home. We're at her house for a few hours. I get back in the car, drive back to Pembroke. And now we're driving back to Deep River. And it's getting close to this dinner time. And I am friggin' zonked. Like, I'm just tired, right? Just doing all this driving and everything. And my mom just constantly talking. And at some point, as we're driving back to Deep River to go to this restaurant to get the chicken dish, she starts going on about how she's not sure if the chef will make us this dish. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, he's the guy there is a little temperamental. He might not want to make us any food. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, this restaurant, like the chef just might not want to make us any food. And I'm like, what kind of restaurant is this? Are you serious? She's like, well, I don't like, sometimes you go to a restaurant and the chef doesn't want to make you any food. And so in my head, I'm thinking this is like the ambulance thing all over again. She's just like the most worst case scenario is in her head at all times. So we get back and I'm like, okay, so she wanted to get takeout from there. She didn't want to sit at the restaurant with eye surgery stuff on her face and all that. Fine with me. She just wanted to get takeout, but I didn't know where the restaurant was, right? So I'm like, let's try to do a drive by the restaurant so I can see where it is. So we drive up to it and okay, I know where it is now and everything. I'm like, can I just go in and put in our order and then I'll bring you home and then I'll come back to this restaurant and I'll pick it up, like in that time. She's like, no. I need to call because the chef might not make us a food. So we need to go home and I need to call. I'm like, okay. So we get to her apartment, drop her off. She struggles for 5 or 6 minutes looking for the phone number for this place. She finally finds it. And she calls them up. Sure enough, the kitchen was closed at this restaurant. The restaurant's open, but the kitchen was closed because the chef did not want to make anyone any food that day.
Really?
And you go on their website, and sure enough, it said Tuesday is this chicken dinner. And then there was an update on their website that said closed today. They were open Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not the Tuesday. The Tuesday, he just did not feel like making anyone anything.
It's Tuesday. I don't make food on Tuesdays.
So I'm going to say mom broke even that day. She was right on that. There was no ambulance. There was no concern or cause to be concerned about an ambulance, but she was right about the chef.
No.
But apparently, like, this guy just does that all the time. He runs. It was like a fairly new restaurant. It's only been open for about a year, and everyone in Deep River, like when I told my sister that story, he's like, "Yeah, that guy. It'll be just a random day. He'll pick and he'll say, I don't want to cook on that day." What kind of? Yeah.
That's the benefit of small business. You make your own rules.
Yeah. Anyways, so then I had to drive her back the next morning for another follow-up appointment. That was like the serious ice storm where my car was just covered in ice by the time we got to Pembroke. I posted a picture of it on the social media if anyone wants to see it. But yeah, it was kind of cool because my car looked like it had a shield on it. It was like that Batmobile shield, but it was just ice.
Shields.
Yeah. But of course, yesterday, because it was nice out, I went to do an oil change on my car, and the hood latch wouldn't open. And I go in there and I look into the hood latch, and it's all rusted in there. And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. It was that ice storm. The ice went up, the water went up right into the car and froze on that thing. And yeah.
Now you wish you had shields on your car.
I do. Yes.
I gotta tell you that that new Ezra Miller Flash movie, I have no interest. Not even the Michael Keaton stuff. But what did get my interest is, all right, if they're bringing the Michael Keaton Batman back, does that mean we're gonna get merchandise of the '89 Batmobile? Because I wouldn't mind having a really nice '89 Batmobile.
Maybe. It could happen. Is it in the movie?
I believe it was under like a tarp in the trailer. So I don't know if that's just their little, nod to it, or if they're actually going to show it.
Sometimes the crappiest product that's put out by a movie studio or video game company has like these really nice, you know, offshoots. Like the product itself sucks. Like for instance, Sanctum of Slime
Hmm.
was a terrible Ghostbusters game, but that was the game where they were offering so you could wear a Ghostbusters put a Ghostbusters uniform on your Xbox avatar,
Yeah. Okay.
which my avatar is still wearing to this day. So
Hmm.
sometimes you get nice bonuses or frills outside
Yeah.
of those crappy things.
Hmm.
All right.
I have. Remember that first Wolverine standalone movie?
Yes.
Not a great movie, but I do have a Wolverine dog tag
Oh,
from
that's
that movie. That
cool.
was some promotional item. I was like, that's neat.
Yeah. See?
Said,
Yeah. So
that's neat.
is that the one with Ryan Reynolds' Deathpool? Is that the one?
Deadpool. Yeah,
Yeah.
his the original Deadpool,
Yeah.
and uh the animated claws.
Yes. Yeah. Good
Oh,
times.
that's such a good movie.
Oh.
I can go into movies if we're on that subject.
Sure, why not? I haven't watched a single movie, so it's all you.
Okay. Well, I've limited it to 5, and these
Okay.
are all from my as I mentioned before, the rental store that shut down. Was able to buy a bunch of things, and actually, that same chain, another location near here, is doing the same thing. They're shutting
Oh.
down. They're currently at the $5 range for all their movies, and as of Monday, it'll go down to $3. So
Hmm.
I might be picking up a few more.
Hmm.
Anyway, I took the opportunity to watch some movies that either I had never seen before or I haven't seen in a long time. This movie, Chronicle, from about 10 years ago. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
It's um it's right in the middle. It's not a bad movie, but it is annoying
Hmm.
because it's like a found footage movie.
Oh, I
So
hate
you're
those.
always getting that camera perspective.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times it is done fairly well. They part of the plot is how he's holding the camera and stuff, and it's annoying, but it is kind of fun. It's just a story about these 3 guys, and then they find this thing, which is some alien thing or something, and they get superpowers. And then it's just what would happen if they had superpowers.
Hmm.
And the one thing I really liked about the movie is at no point do they ever mention superheroes, Superman, Spider-Man. There's no reference to anything like that. It's
Hmm.
just in this universe, yeah, either it doesn't exist or they just never mention it. So there's no stupid jokes about any of that stuff. It's
Hmm.
just, and then, they do try to see what would happen. These 3 guys and their personalities, and this one decides to do this, and this one decides to do that. And at the beginning, they're all just teenagers playing with this new toy that they've discovered. So it's kind of fun. I did watch Hot Shots Part 2
Nice.
for the first time in a very long time. And apparently, I must have seen this a ton when I was a kid because even though I haven't seen it in a very long time, everything came back. It was like, I remember that joke. I remember that joke. I
Well,
remember that joke.
you know what it might be. It might, if you look at the trailer, it might be that a lot of those jokes were in the trailer, and you saw it on TV over and over again.
Very true. Very true. Some of the big jokes were in there, but there was a lot that I remembered. I was very impressed though, because Charlie Sheen really did put on the muscle for that movie. I was kind of expecting to see like a bodysuit for the
Yeah.
muscle and everything, but no, he actually just did work out,
Oh,
and
really?
he's in really good shape for that movie,
Hmm.
which for such a goofy slapstick
That's
parody
commitment.
comedy,
Yeah.
yeah, he committed to it. Um, Which I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but when I first discovered that Ricardo Montalban did not have the buffed out chest for Wrath of Khan, I
Yeah.
was a little disappointed. Like he had the
What?
necklace and then that's
Really?
fake. Yeah.
Because George Takai,
Hmm.
I can't remember where he said it, but he insisted that that was all Ricardo Montalban.
I don't think so. If you look at it, especially if you check out the something in HD, he's got this necklace on, and
Yeah,
then you see the big pecs coming down.
right.
It looks like padding to me.
I according to George, I think it was on the Howard Stern show that he had that conversation. He was insistent that it was now. Look, George is not the most reliable source of information. He gets some things wrong sometimes. So who knows?
I don't
He's a
know.
little bit of a gullible guy. Let's just say
Look,
it. So,
look at his
but
face. Look at his kind of very thin neck,
yeah,
and then it goes down to here,
yeah,
and then he's
yeah.
just man.
I mean, it's always looked fake to me. It did something always looked a little bit off there. But when he said that, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe, but maybe he's wrong. Who knows?
I don't know. First time I finally watched Scanners,
Okay,
which I know you said you were not a big fan of.
no.
It does have the iconic moment that everybody watches the movie for.
Hmm.
And even though I knew it was coming and I had seen it, clips of it before, it still caught me off guard because I
Really?
was like, it's not happening now, is it? Is this the scene? And then, whoa,
Yeah.
there it goes. And it was wonderful. And there were some other really good effects later on in the movie, but it is a bit dull at times. It does
That was my problem
drag.
with it. I was bored
Yeah.
to tears.
There are a lot of sit down and let's have two people talk about something for a
Yeah.
very long time.
Yeah. Which is
And then it just
fine
kind of ends.
if what they're talking about is interesting, but if what they're talking about is not interesting,
Yeah. Not bad though. And 103 minutes. That ain't bad.
no.
Have you ever seen Coneheads?
I don't believe so.
Really?
I don't think so.
Of course you're familiar with the
Yeah,
skit.
of course, yeah. From
Yeah,
France. They are from France.
from France. Now, I saw this movie when it came out in the theater. I remember going to see it, and I thought, that wasn't that good. It was kind of and it was a box office bomb. You don't really hear people talking about this movie now. It was made right after Wayne's World was a big hit, so they're like, what other SNL stuff we got? Let's make some movies. And it didn't do very well. I just watched it for the first time in, I don't know, 30 plus years. Had me laughing. It was pretty
Oh,
good.
okay. Maybe it's aged
I
well.
I do appreciate a lot of the humor in here. Um, Again, very short movie, 87 minutes. So they really tightened it up. It was actually directed by Steve Barron, who was the director of the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh,
And he directed tons and tons of music videos. So I think he had an understanding of let's move, get the jokes going and let's move on. From if you look at the trailer, there are tons and tons of scenes that didn't make it into the final film, but it's to the movie's credit because it doesn't waste time. It hits the joke, it moves on. It hits the joke, it moves on. Tons of cameos in this as well. I mean,
I do remember that.
most of the early 90s SNL cast is in here. Farley and Spade, they have like big supporting roles, but then like Adam Sandler's in there for a scene, Kevin Nealon's in there for a scene, Tim Meadows is there for a scene. You got like John Lovitz, and then you've got other like non SNL people like Dave Thomas or Michael McKean is the primary antagonist. Just so many people in this. I would say it's a pretty fun movie. It's not
Hmm.
brilliant, but it had me laughing for 87 minutes.
I think it's one of those movies that I caught a little bit on TV or something like that. Like because I do remember watching some of it, but I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing from beginning to end. So maybe
if you run across it, it's not bad for 87 minutes.
I am looking for the soundtrack to Coneheads, if you can get me that, because on there is a version of Public Enemy's 911's a Joke, performed by the Bare Naked Ladies. And I want a copy of that.
Okay.
Because it's pretty good.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Last movie. Another one that had escaped me for a very long time. Just last night, I watched High Plains Drifter.
Mm-hmm. Good one.
Clint Eastwood. Very good. Very good. I do like his direction in this. It starts very slow and methodical, just him riding into town, going past all the locations and everything. He has a little altercation with some gentlemen, and then he's like walking all the way back through the city. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's it for the movies.
That's it. I'm cutting it to 5.
All right. Let's see how many I got. I got 4 TV shows to talk about here. I'm not going to talk too much in detail about. I'll talk in detail about 2 of them, and 2 others I'll just gloss over. So, as you may recall, Sarah and I have been working our way through MASH. And you might recall in the last episode how I was up on the versions of the show that are on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And now I am back to watching them on DVD. For
What
2
happened
reasons.
with the plus?
2 reasons. One, now the episodes do color-wise, they do look good. It has a lot more visual oomph to it. But that pan and scan thing that they were doing to keep the shot in frame, they got very laissez-faire with it as the series continues to go on. There's a lot of moments where there's actually one moment where a soldier is in bed and he's writing. He can't talk. It was all done. It was an interesting episode where it was all done from the soldier that got into the MASH unit because he was injured, and it's all done from his perspective. The entire thing is shot from first person. So there's one point where he can't talk. Hawkeye Pierce is talking to him, and the guy is writing his answers down on a piece of paper, and then he would turn around and show Hawkeye, but we couldn't see what was on the piece of paper because it was cut off in that 16:9. It was done out of frame, and I'm like, okay, this is so that was reason number 1. Reason number 2 is that stupid laugh track. On the DVDs, you can turn off the laugh track. You cannot do that on Disney Plus. So, the laugh track on most episodes, I don't even notice it. But then there are certain episodes where they really tone down the laugh track, and they'll be like 15 minutes. The first 15 minutes of the show will go by where you won't hear it. And then all of a sudden it'll be just rammed into the middle of the show. And it's like, what is that? That is just, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. So,
okay.
So going back to the DVDs, we've just finished season 7 and we're working our way through season 8. So at the beginning of season 7, the big thing was that BJ Honeycutt got a mustache. And it's really weird how they made such a big deal about him getting this mustache until you realize what they were actually using it for. And that was like an allegory to say that they were kind of done talking about Vietnam indirectly through this show about the Korean War. And they were just like, you know what? This show, it's about the Korean War or the Vietnam War. It's not about Korea anymore. Because in the 1950s, there's no way that a man would have long hair and a mustache, right? Like it just was not in style unless he was a hobo, There's especially an officer, a doctor working in a MASH, he would be clean shaven and clean cut. So that was kind of their way of saying, this show is going to talk more directly about Vietnam. And at the beginning of the series, they had a few cast members who were Black. And then they eventually got rid of them because one of the criticisms that the show was getting is that in the 1950s, the army was still segregated. So you would not have black officers and enlisted men working together with white officers and enlisted men. They would have their own, infantry divisions and whatnot. Now they would treat them all at the same hospital, but they would be segregated in like a different room or whatever. It was, it was that ass backwards back then. But so then at this point they started, bringing in more black actors and that into the show, kind of just saying like, this is really like, it's their way of saying like, this is about Vietnam. We don't care about being historically accurate as to what happened in Korea. We are going to talk about, what's current, what at the time was more of a current event. So it's really interesting. A lot of the episodes have gotten less jokey and more take a more serious tone, which I know a lot of people had a problem with, but I actually am enjoying it a lot more. It's still funny. Like, it's still a funny show, but the episodes are getting a lot more interesting. And I think it's how they got away with doing so many seasons too. They did 11 seasons.
Yeah.
And if they were still doing the same stupid jokes that they were doing in season 1, I mean, you'd be done,
Yeah, it wouldn't have had the legs that it had. As they had to swap out characters and people left, each time it felt like, okay, we're switching to a slightly more mature level. You go back to the early McLean Stevenson and Larry Linville and everything, and then by the end with Harry Morgan and Winchester, I always forget his real name, David Ogden Stiers.
Yeah.
Definitely a bit more classy.
Well, the characters that they replace them with are have a little more depth to them.
Yeah.
Like Trapper John, who was Hawkeye's best friend, they would just he was like a Hawkeye clone. Like they would just say the same jokey things over and over. BJ Honeycutt gets angry with Hawkeye, has episodes where he just does not want to have anything to do with him, doesn't want to have anything to do with his humor. Like, they have a much more realistic relationship. He's just not just there to be his lackey and do everything that he says. And then Winchester comes in. Larry Linville finally left the show, and Winchester comes in, and he's more of a dynamic character as well. And even Larry Linville said that Frank Burns was just kind of two-dimensional, and that's why he left the show, because he's like, I don't know what else to do with this character. He's just like this villain, and he was almost like a mustache twirling villain by the end of it.
Yeah, it was just the guy who he would they'd get him to run into a pit of water or something, and then laugh at him. That's the end of the show. Pretty
much. Whereas Winchester, sometimes he's in on the scheme, sometimes he's not. He's got his reasons for doing it. So it makes it much more interesting. I wasn't liking the direction they took Margaret Houlihan in for a while, because she was becoming very whiny. She married. She eventually, splits up with Frank Burns, and she marries some officer guy, and she's always going on about how much she loves him and all this stuff. And then, like, for instance, like she's trying to reach him on the phone. She can't reach him on the phone. She throws like a tantrum, and this is supposed to be like a major, and I know it's done for comedic effect, but this is supposed to be a major in the United States Army. She's supposed to have like some sort of reserve or something, and I don't know. It just it seemed like she was playing too much of the hysterical woman, but with as they started, they started getting further and further away from that and kind of making her character a little more deeper now. So it's not so bad. They write a lot more with William Christopher, Father Mulcahy. I
always liked him.
Yeah,
he was always my favorite character when I was little.
He gets a lot more on screen time. And then we just finished the episodes where Radar has left the show to go do his own. Yeah. And now Klinger is taking over the clerical duties at the hospital. Yep. So there you go. There's my MASH update. We're on season 8. We still have 9, the rest of 8, then 9, 10, and 11. So we still got ways to go. But I'm enjoying the show. And get it on DVD if you want the Still, the Elite experience is on DVD. Turn off the laugh track, get to watch it in 4x3.
Mm-hmm.
The other two shows I've been Raiho Magnifico there on Twitter started posting again how he's been watching his Friday night series. Like he watches what used to be on Sunday night. Yeah. And I got in my head, I'm like, oh, yeah, I got all those Dukes of Hazzard and A-Team and Magnum PI and the Knight Rider to watch. So I busted out my DVDs and I started watching the Dukes of Hazzard and A-Team again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on season 2 of both of those shows. Neither show is great, but there's a lot of car flips and explosions in them. So, you know, I'm at the point in Dukes where Roscoe, I don't know if you remember, but James Best, the actor who played Roscoe, had a little bit of falling out with the production team. And like, I'm sure everyone remembers how Bo and Luke were gone for a year from that show.
And their cousins came in or something?
Yeah, Coy and Vance Duke, which I'm really looking forward to getting that season. Because I remember even as a kid hating that season.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a few episodes without Roscoe P. Coltrane. There was about 4 or 5 episodes. They actually got Dick Sargent to come in for a couple of episodes that you might know from Bewitched. I think he was the second Darren on Bewitched.
I always get them confused.
With I Dream of Jeannie? Yeah, me too. I don't know. Anyways.
No, just Dick York and Dick Sargent. I can't remember which one's which.
Oh yeah, Dick York was the first one, and Dick Sargent. I never watched any of these shows. I just know what's happened. I don't know why. But anyways, so he comes in. He was interesting. And then for one episode, it was this actor Clifton James, and Clifton James actually had a recurring character of sorts in the James Bond films. He played like this loudmouth sheriff that was a bit of a foil for James Bond. He was like from the South, and you know, like this guy would be on vacation wherever James Bond would happen to be, kind of thing. And I think he was in 2 movies. I can't remember which ones. I definitely Live and Let Die, and I can't remember the other one that he was in. But you know, he plays like a character in those movies that that would kind of fit in the Dukes of Hazzard. But you could kind of tell that when they brought him in, they just gave him Roscoe's lines. Like they didn't rewrite the character in order to fit his style. So it was just weird to hear like this guy he's closer to Buford T. Justice in the Smokey and the Bandit movies. Like he's closer to that kind of character playing a clown, basically, which was Roscoe P. Coltrane, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, anyways, that's where I am there. And then the A-Team, I'm in season 2. Still, Amy's still with the team. You remember Amy?
I don't remember specifics. I haven't seen that show in such a long time, but they did have the extra member who was riding around in the van.
It's so funny because she is so out of place on that show. Apparently, George Papard, who plays Hannibal Smith, basically the lead on the show, did not want her on the team at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just so weird, like how they kind of include her, but not like she's there all the time, and all she does is ask questions. She's kind of like the Winston Zedmore in a way, but they don't give her anything to do, right? There'll be like a girl that they have to save, so they'll go in and into a facility and save the girl, and then George Papard will turn around and say, "Okay, get the girls out of here." Like, well, why did Amy even come into the building? Just now it's time that they both leave. And like, you know, the bad guys will be like, get those 4 guys, you know, or just stuff like that in the dialogue. It's like, there's a girl there too. Like 4 guys. Anyways, she apparently is gone at some point during this season. So, but these whole 3 shows tie in together. Because it's funny because they all shoot on the same lot in California. That California desert backlot. You look at the background of any of these shows and it's the same mountains. Like in MASH, same mountains. Dukes of Hazzard, same mountains. A-Team, same mountains. So A-Team, they were notorious. They would go all over the world, right, to do these things. So the one episode I watched, they went to South Africa.
Mhm.
So all three of these shows, MASH is in that lot pretending to be in Korea. The Dukes of Hazzard
Mhm.
are in that lot pretending to be in Georgia. And the A-Team are in that lot pretending to be in South America. They're all in the same place. It's
Yeah.
just so much fun. There you go. That's TV back then. Good
Now,
times.
regarding TV, I don't know if this exists, but I'm sure it will at some point. Is there some sort of an application, some sort of a software, a system where you can take kind of like your iPod, you put all your music on there and you hit shuffle, and then, it just, plays whatever. If you take all your TV shows and you load them into this program, and then you just say, you know what, create me, or you can specify whatever details, my own television schedule, and just throw it all in and say, you know what, every day at 5 o'clock, it's going to play the A-Team. Every day at 6 o'clock, it's going to play Magnum PI, and whatever. You throw all your TV shows in there and you hit randomize or you select it yourself. And that way, every time you turn on your TV, it's just automatically loaded that show is going to be on at that time. And whether you watch it or not, it's still going to stay in rotation.
Oh,
So
so you got to catch it.
if you miss an episode, all right, then it's already on to the next episode.
You're trying to bring back appointment viewing. Is that what you're doing?
Yes,
I
but
see.
if you load it with everything you want, that
Yeah.
way, whenever you sit down on the TV, it's like, all right, I like this show. I'll sit down and watch this. Or uh, this episode's not my favorite, so I'll go to the second channel. Oh, and there's Golden Girls. I'll watch Golden Girls right now.
They sort of have that now. It is coming back. It's funny. I just read an article today about it. It's called Fast Television.
Mhm.
Free was it free ads streaming something or that free without ads streaming something or whatever. Anyways, like there's a new service called Pluto TV where they'll just run Judge
Mhm.
Judy on a streaming channel 24/7.
Okay.
Random episodes. You got to sit and watch it. You can't pause it. You can't
Mhm.
you just got to whatever is on is on. And it's funny because I was reading an article today. It was about a guy who's about 10 years younger than I'd say you, maybe. And so I guess he's about 15 years younger than me. But anyways,
Mhm.
so he's about 25, 20, 30 years younger than Bill and Joe. But he was talking about how when he was like, in high school and that, like the big thing was DVDs. So he would watch television on DVDs. And then when Netflix came out, he never really experienced live television. And
Mm.
he's gone back like with these services. He's got Pluto TV now and he's watching Pluto TV and he's like, oh man, I get it. Like there'd be so much anxiety with television watching where I felt like as if I had to watch shows in a certain in order and pay attention, and like you're like consuming these TV shows where you're not with Pluto TV. So I just put it on and I can relax and watch TV. And if I pay
Mhm.
attention, I pay attention. If I don't, I don't. And it's like I imagine that's what regular over the air television was back in the day. And I mean, you can still get that, but you have to pay for it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that. So maybe
It
you might be
it's
onto something there.
Well, I'm saying like I've got plenty of TV shows on DVD and they sit on my shelf because I always think of the commitment involved of when I start watching. I have to
Hmm.
sit there and watch this episode, the next episode, the next episode. I can't take a DVD off the shelf and just start randomly watching episodes. It feels strange. But if that's what's playing at
Right.
that time,
Yeah.
I'll sit down and watch it because I know if I don't watch it now, I'm going to miss it, and it like you said, that sense of anxiety. I'm gonna miss
Yeah.
out
Yep.
if I don't sit down and catch it.
Yeah.
So if you could arrange it yourself, and of course you always have the option of just saying, you know what, I missed that episode. I really want to watch that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
pull out the DVD. I'm gonna watch that episode.
Well, I will say with the DVDs, my plan was to watch like an episode of a show like how Raiho does it, but I find it too
Mhm.
much of a pain in the ass to change DVDs, especially like when I
Mhm.
take a DVD out and then I put another one in. I got to sit through all the FBI
Yeah.
warnings, and then the
Mhm.
Universal thing comes on, and it's like, oh, come on, just get to the show. So now I have gotten into the habit of finishing a DVD, and then I'll pop in a DVD from another show and finish that
Okay.
one, and just to cut down on all that rigor. I don't want to have to get up off the couch too.
Rigmarole.
That's the word I'm looking for, but
Yeah.
I don't want to have to get off the couch.
There's
Okay, so
something there, especially with guys like Chris Roberts getting all those old TV commercials. You can plug those in there too.
yeah, I
Make it
I
all
was
nice.
just I was just watching a thing. It was a
Mm.
Kim Mitchell concert. It was on Canadian television back in 1984, and I start watching the thing, and I'm like, oh man, this is cool. And then a commercial comes on, and I'm like, oh, this is annoying. So I skip past the commercial, and then I continue watching the Kim Mitchell thing, and I skip past the next commercial, and I finish the thing. Scroll down to the comments. Like the first 5 comments were nothing about the Kim Mitchell concert, but all about how awesome it was that the commercials were left in because it was such a
Mhm.
blast. I'm like, I I'm out of it, man. I have no idea what the hell's going on anymore. People are into commercials now. I spent
It's
so
all
much of my life
about
avoiding them.
it's all about VHS tapes, cassettes,
Yeah,
commercials.
yeah. What do I know? All right. One final show I want to mention. It's a little more modern. In fact, it just finished, just wrapped up. I sent you an episode of it. You still haven't watched it, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, Picard season 3 of Picard wrapped up. I just want to say that they did a mighty fine job. I do have some problems with it, but for the most part, it was done very well. Towards the end, this isn't spoilery. These are just kind of my feelings. Towards the end, I thought that it got a little too much like an Avengers movie, where they got
Mhm.
all the team back together, and then it was like, oh, I got this superpower, I can do this. I got this superpower, I can do that. I got this superpower, I can do this. It was kind of, yeah. I really liked what they did with Worf. Like they made Worf,
Mhm.
they progressed his character, and then once they got everybody back together, they kind of made him just the comic relief again, which
Mhm.
kind of disappointed me. And he was a little bit like that one guy in Guardians of the Galaxy, that big guy that's played by the wrestler guy, Drax
Never
or
seen it.
Drakes or whatever. I'm bad with the names. Anyways,
Drake's coffee cake?
that character in Guardians of the Galaxy, he takes everything literally. He doesn't get like nuance and or sarcasm or anything like that. And they kind of made Worf like this. It's the same kind of humor. So I was kind of a little disappointed in that. But other than that, the very end of the show is exactly the same as all good things, which is kind of like, what's the point of this whole thing?
The point is everybody was complaining.
But for overall, it was quite nice to have another slice of the pie, if you will. It was just kind of like an extra
Mhm.
piece that you can add on to the next generation. I mean, it was a much better ending. I feel good that if they end it here, that they end it here instead of where it was left at the end of Nemesis, right? That hanging
Hmm.
turd just left out
Right.
there. Like this felt like, okay, we kind of fixed the mistake. And if they want to do a spin-off show or whatever, fine, go ahead, do a spin-off show. But let's just leave the next generation done here. Let's not do any more.
Okay. Yeah, I do intend to at least check out that first episode at some point.
We got Kyle
Well,
here,
Kyle,
and he
well, you
approves.
said you said Star Trek
Yeah, that's right.
came out of the woodwork.
So that last season is what it should have been from the start. So good. Yeah. Whatever that showrunner was, whoever he is from season 3, that's the guy that they need to lock in, because he gets it. He absolutely gets it. And he was satisfied with the ending. I mean, yeah, overall the ending was satisfied. I was satisfied with it, but then anyways.
Let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
Was season 3 filled with unnecessary f bombs, like the first season was.
There was a couple of cuss words, but none of it felt unnecessary. It felt like they would cuss once, like maybe once every 2 or 3 episodes, but it would be at a poignant moment where you would think, yeah, I definitely would probably cuss there. Not like, yeah, where this admiral is just cussing out Captain Picard and it makes no
No.
sense. Yeah, no. The guy who's ran this last season, he knew what he was doing.
Okay.
There was a lot of, callbacks to things in the series, but it just felt appropriate. It all comes down to writing, right? Like the writing in season 1 and season 2 is just so terrible. It was so bad. It was just bad
Mhm.
writing. You can have all your member berries all you want, but if the writing's bad, it doesn't matter. It just comes off as really bad. Where
Mhm.
none of the member berries in season 3 felt out of place. It felt all like they would just and kind of subtle in a way. Like, for instance, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but like Amanda Plummer, she basically plays the villain throughout season 3. And
Mhm.
every time they show her ship would come in, and it would be that same sound effect from Star Trek the motion picture. That bong whenever they would show like V'ger or the Klingons, that
Mhm.
bong,
Mhm.
and it would just show the ship and it would go bong in the background. It's like, oh, that's so cool, but it was cool because she wasn't playing like V'ger 2.0 or another version of Khan or whatever. She was her own character that had,
Right.
some elements of Khan in the writing and that. Like, she was
Mhm.
like that classic space villain from Star Trek, cliched, if you will. But she was her own villain, so it felt good. And they tied in
Yeah.
all the series too. Like, you don't have to watch all the series, but Next Gen, you got some Deep Space Nine, and you got some Voyager in there. You know, no Captain Archer. I don't think he's ever mentioned. I think they actually do show his ship at some point.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, if that's a spoiler.
Uh,
Yeah. But anyways, there you go.
hmm,
That's what I've been watching. What about you?
nice. Nice.
Anything else? Games? Playing any
Uh,
games?
I'm playing a game. I've been playing.
Sorry to wake you
I had to do my stretch there.
up.
I was playing a game that I got a while ago. I'd never played before, which is the case. Called Door Kickers Action Squad.
I've heard of this game. I've seen some play of it. I've never played it myself.
Yeah, it's on the Steam and all that. Um, but yeah, it's like a pixelated side scroller where you're a member of a SWAT team and you have to go into the house and shoot the bad guys, rescue the hostages, disarm bombs, things like that. And the big thing is you just kick open doors. There's all these doors, different rooms. So as you go through, um, sometimes you can see into the room. Uh, if you think of it looking like a dollhouse from the side, you see all the
Yep.
different rooms and everything. Sometimes the lights are out, you can't see what's in there. Sometimes the lights are out, but if you pass the window, then you can see what's in there. Sometimes you have no idea what's in there. So the door will be closed, and you can either try to open it. If it's unlocked, it'll just open quietly and they won't detect you. Um, if it is locked, you'll automatically kick the door. It'll open, they'll be surprised, and they'll come at you. Sometimes the door requires multiple kicks. So you have to hit it like 3 times. And every time you hit it, they're alerted to your presence. So they're waiting for you. So you have different gear, like you have flashbangs, you have smoke grenades, you can throw those out so they can't see you when you open the door. Some of the villains have, pistols, some have machine guns, some have knives, some will rush at you, some of them will hold hostages as human shields. And I believe you can play it 2 player where you could then coordinate with your other players. Like, okay, you're going to go in through this window. I'm going to kick open this door. You get that guy. You get the person with the knife, stuff like that. That's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. It's got a nice little challenge to it where it looks easy and then suddenly it's like, oh, I'm dead. I didn't see that coming. This enemy type is going to rush at you and blow himself up. It's fun times. You get to
It,
unlock new weapons, new gear.
you have it on Steam?
I got it on Steam.
Is this something we should try playing together?
Well, the big thing is always coordinating time. That's always
Yeah.
the biggest challenge.
Yeah, we're either recording this show or that's it.
Well, I do have like 1 week off coming up.
Yeah.
It's a holiday season around here, so I've got a lot of free time. If anybody who has this game is interested, I wouldn't mind trying it out, but yeah, it's always coordinating the time.
This week coming up, I'm actually going on a truck run.
Oh, what is that?
Well, so he's Sarah's sister's boyfriend that she lives
Okay.
with. So I'm just gonna call him the brother-in-law. The brother-in-law, he drives truck, and he knows I'm into American Truck Simulator. So he's like, "Why don't you come out on a truck run with me to see what it's all about?" So he goes out. It's going to be all next week, where I'm going to be living in the back of a truck.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
With another dude.
Uh,
But yeah, no, it's what the heck? Why not go and experience the thing? And this place that he works at, there's several positions that are open there for a job. So I'm like, well, maybe I should go over there and like I'll seem interested, and who knows what, maybe a job will come out of it or something like that. But anyways, I'll be able to go out and experience a little bit of Northern Ontario out on the highway. So I'll be busy doing that all next week. I would like.
Are you going to be drinking those little keep me awake chemical drink things?
I don't think I'll be doing any driving, so I don't have to worry too much about that. But I'll be just sitting back and enjoying the scenery for the most part.
Are you going to be the one that pulls the thing?
If he has one, you darn right I am. Why not? I think it's just cool. I think it's just a button now. I don't think they actually have a cord that does. Maybe they do. I don't know.
You're gonna wear your hat, right?
Oh yeah, Bud Light. Well, actually, it's a Bud Light hat, so maybe I can't wear it now because of all that controversy with Bud Light now.
I don't know. You got to put the pack of smokes in the sleeve.
Not that I'm against. I'm against Bud Light. I just want it on record. It's not that I'm against Bud Light. It's just I don't feel like dealing with anyone. I just don't want to hear it.
He says, like, I know you're into that truck simulator. You want to come along? Sure. After you're done, he's going to be like, I know you're into that power wash simulator.
There is a power washing job that's available there too. So, but he said it would be more appropriate for Sarah than me. I'm like, what the hell? I'll do power wash. I got no problems. Oh, the Rocket Sauce is here now too. Everyone's showing up now. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Sleeveless flannel. It'd be Sunday? Too cold for sleeveless. It's Saturday here. So. Okay, was that it for video games? Did you have any more?
No, that's the only thing I've been playing. Unless you want to talk about miniatures.
Well, I got a video game that I played that you would be interested in.
Okay.
You probably have it on your wish list. I'd be surprised if. I would be surprised if Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is not on your wish list.
It is on my wish list.
I knew it. All right. So this game is available with the Game Pass, so that's how I played it. Now, you know me, I'm not, the biggest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fanboy. I don't get on board on everything that's Ninja Turtles. But I played this and I really enjoyed it. It was really well done. Again, it's like that Star Trek series where there is a bunch of member berries in it, but it's its own thing. Like it does enough of its own thing to warrant you having all the member berries in it. Yeah. Like it could still pick up characters and throw them into the screen and all that stuff. You're still fighting Bebop and Rocksteady. You got to fight Baxter Stockman, just like all the old classic games. But it's really well done, really fun. Controls are fluid. You can do a whole bunch of different moves in that, or you can do nothing. You can just go in and hack and slash your way through the whole game. I guess the game follows. You're driving through New York with the turtle van, and there was a bunch of stuff I forgot about Ninja Turtles. Like I forgot they had a blimp. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a ninja, right. The ninja blimp, and so at one point you're in the blimp. You're on the skateboard that flies in the air, whatever that is, and flip around that thing. So, but the concept is that Krang is putting together his body. So you're going around chasing all the body parts, trying to destroy them before they reach Krang, and you can't catch up to them. And eventually, spoiler alert, Krang puts all his body parts together, and then you fight Krang. Good times. It was really good. Really fun game.
Yeah,
Not that long.
it's one of those games that you finished the entire thing.
Just I played in a couple of sittings. Even casually. It wasn't even like all of a sudden the game was done.
Okay.
I'm like,
Yeah, it's one of those games that when they announced it, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Oh, let me watch this. Okay, let me watch this trailer. Let me wishlist it." Yeah, but it just I got that rule about I don't want to spend a ton of money
it is
on
quite
games.
pricey. Yeah.
Once it goes down to a certain point, because there was I showed you that trailer for that Warhammer game with the Doom like one.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh, you can pre-order it now. It's discounted 10%. It's only 10%.
Yeah.
There's a RoboCop game coming out too. That's like, oh, that looks fun.
Have you ever looked into the third-party sites where you can buy Steam keys from? That it might even be cheaper than the Steam sale.
No, I haven't. I really don't care that much. I've got plenty of stuff to play
Right.
already.
Yeah.
So I'll get to it when I get to it. I don't need to experience. Like I totally forgot about that Ninja Turtle game already because everyone played it 3, 4, 5
4
months
months
ago
ago.
whenever
Yep.
it came out. So I was like, I'll get to it and I'll enjoy it when I get to it.
Yeah. I don't even know
I'm watching Coneheads now.
I was because my sister will be bringing her kids here, and my sister was like, "Yeah, get some video games going for those kids because they're all wanting to go to Uncle Kevin's place and play video games." I'm like, "All right." So I was looking at what was age appropriate and co-op, and that was one of them. So I downloaded it, and I'm like, I'll start playing it a little bit, and I ended up playing through the whole thing. But yeah, that'll be a fun one. So yeah. I recommend it. Good times. Maybe get it.
Check it out.
Like how sometimes you'll wait for that, 60 or 70 or even 80% sale. I think even if it goes to like 55% off, you might want to consider it.
Yeah, well, that's still a newer game, so it's not going to hit those high discounts for a while.
Not yet. No.
Even things like Streets of Rage 4 that came out probably well over a year ago. That still hasn't hit the sweet spot for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, just one other game before we go. This game I was really into is called Medieval Dynasty, and it just popped up on Game Pass, and it's one of those. It's a game that you wouldn't be interested in at all. It's one of those grind fest kind of things where you go in and you got to build a community. So you're knocking down trees to get the supplies and a lot of crafting and all that stuff. Knock down trees, pick up rocks, you're building buildings. And I was really enjoying it. You can go to another town, you can get people to come in and live in your town. And I would build a house for everybody to live in. And then you got to make something for them to do. So the two people I invited over were hunters. So I made them a hunting cabin, and they were going out and they were getting meat for everybody to eat. But then everybody was thirsty. How do you get you got to build a well. So I built a well. And you got to get another person to come into the town to draw the water so he can supply everybody with water in town. And then you build like a wood shed so everybody can have wood for when the winter months come and everybody can keep warm. And, sometimes I would build something like I built a kitchen, and then that turned out to be like, it didn't really work out. That was more for an advanced town. So I had to tear that down, and I built a farm instead so people can have food. And I was really having fun with it. And then I reached the point where I hit my maximum amount of buildings I could build. I could only build 10. I'm like, okay, well, what do I need to do to build more than 10? So I look it up online. It's one of those games too that it doesn't tell you how to do anything. You got to go online to get information on how to do anything. So I go online. They say you got to play the main campaign. You got to play the story. I was like, oh, there's a campaign. in this. There's a story, and of course I'm like, it was right there on screen. I just wasn't even looking at it. Like there was like a quest that I needed to do.
Mm.
So then I'm like, okay, where's this guy? So he's all the way on the other side of the map. So I go all the way to the other side of the map, and I find the guy, and I'm doing this stuff, and all the there was no like voice. It was all just text. So like I'm reading, and then I'm losing interest. So I'm just speeding through the text, and finally get to the end. And like, oh, you got to wait till the next day before you can carry on this conversation. So how do you get to the next day? Well, you got to go into your bed. Where's my bed? All the way on the other side of the map. So go all the way back, get into the bed, sleep. It's the next day. I go all the way back to the other side of the map. All right, carry on this thing. I'll go talk to this guy. I'll go talk to the other guy. Talk to him, flying through the dialogue. I don't care about this story. And then, if you want to carry on, you got to wait till the next day. So I go all the way back to my map, or to my home, my sleep, and then I go all the way across the map again, talking to this guy. I'm like, you know what? I'm good with just 10 homes in this game.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. So it's unfortunate because I wish there was just like a sandbox thing. Like, just let me play that sandbox thing. Let me just do that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have
Once
to
games require you to adopt a schedule to play the game,
Yeah.
you know, then it's like,
Yeah.
this is just like life.
Yeah. It's too much. I just wanted to build. I wanted to build things and see what happens when I built them, you know, and see if it made my townspeople happy or not. You know. Let's see. Kyle says he wants to go to my place and play video games. Well, anytime, Kyle. Just drive on up.
Uncle Kevin's.
And watch bad movies. I think we're going to be watching a movie tonight. I actually have people coming over. I think they might be here already. I don't know. We're here very soon. And then he wants to go to Vox's place, play some tabletop minus game. Oh, minis games. Oh, I said minus game. He wants to play tabletop minus the game. That's what I thought he was saying.
Oh. You'd have to teach me how to play because I never play any.
Well, I can play D&D now, so.
Oh, yeah. Did you do any more of
that? Next week. There was a
Okay.
convention last week that everybody wanted to go to, so.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we didn't go.
Are you going to wear a cloak to your D&D game?
No.
Or a pointy wizard hat?
I mean, if you consider a hoodie a cloak, then yes.
Could be.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it. That's a show. Thanks everybody in the chat coming in on a Saturday. We had Duke and we had Rocket Sauce and we had Kyle. It's hard to get people in here on a Saturday, but you know.
I suppose people like doing things.
Yeah, you know, they got lives and they want to, you know, eat dinner and I don't know, go and enjoy their lives instead of just sitting in. I mean, it's a miserable day here weather-wise, so I would just want to stay inside and watch a podcast. I think. Anyways.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. All right. I got nothing else, so I guess just goodbye.
Yeah. See you next time, people.
All right. Bye.